Hello, once again, to another episode of Historical Talks with yours truly, Dirk Justice Lorente Blankenberg. Now, today we will be interviewing a very special guest. So who's your special guest today? That's a very good question, other me. Wait, how can you be there while I'm here? Continuity? Continuity. Today, we will be interviewing Mr. Dick Blankenberg. He's 76, from Rio Grande, California, and my grandfather. Give a round of applause for Dick! Yeah! Yeah! So, Dick, I have a list of questions for you right here on just what it's been like for you in America. Where and when were you born?
Our family lived in a little town called Gold Hill on the river in southern Oregon. But I was born in Medford because there was no hospital facility in Gold Hill.
Wow, so that's very interesting. So, are you or were you married, and do you have family?
Yes, I'm married. My wife died 7 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I have 2 daughters and 1 son. Actually, I should put the son first because he's the oldest. And my offspring have sons and daughters too, so I have 4 granddaughters and 1 grandson. That's you.
Are you the first generation to be born in the U.S.? If not, do you know who was?
No, I'm not first born in this country. My ancestors came from Germany and settled in Wisconsin and that area. And then when my parents were married, they lived in South Dakota and Iowa, and then they traveled after they got married and got trained in journalism because they both wanted to have a newspaper together. And that's why they moved out west to southern Oregon, and that's where I was born.
In your opinion, what is the single most historical event you have lived through?
I think first of World War II. I was really young then, not even in school. Well, I guess I'd started school, but it was a war. I hadn't heard of a war before, and everybody was, I knew, older than me, was being drafted and going into the Army. I didn't have that experience till much later in my life.
Do you remember JFK's assassination? What was it like for you as a citizen?
Well, we were all shocked by his assassination. That's a very uncommon experience, and I still remember coverage of it in the newspapers, and the pictures of the gunman up in the library there in Texas, and then all day I listened to the news and found out he died almost instantaneously. It was a shock to the whole country and our family too.
What is your opinion of Nixon and his Vietnamization of the war?
Well, I was shocked at that too. Yeah, I thought he was a good president, as I expect all the presidents to be, but then we found out about all the shenanigans he'd pulled, and lost a lot of respect for him, and then they led him all the way to impeachment.
What do you remember about the Cold War and what it was like when the Berlin Wall came down? in 1989.
I remember not only when it went down, but when it went up, because I was in Germany at the time. Berlin Wall was built around us, and I was serving at an army base not far from what turned out to be the border between the East Germany and West Germany. And we expected that the wives would be sent home, but it didn't turn out that way. We all got control of the border there, and lived through it, stayed through it, and watched all the deaths of East Germans trying to get in to West Germany. A lot of them were killed by their own people in the West, in the East, I mean. And so it was a great day when the war was over, and the Berlin Wall came down. That was exciting.
What do you remember about September 11th, 2001? And how did this change the way you lived?
9/11 was another big shock in everyone's life in the United States, because that hit home. That was when the enemies of the United States attacked the homeland here in New York. Nobody would have believed it, but it happened. And we were all scared, but we resolved to find and make the people pay who did that disastrous deed.
And how did it change the way you lived?
Well, we lived more cautiously then, more aware of things around us, because something like that never happened before in this country.
Who was your favorite president and why?
My favorite president is Ronald Reagan. He really did a good job. He's from California, and we're proud of his service and everything he stood for. Yes, he was very conservative, and so am I, so we fit together real well. I really enjoy going down to see his ranch and library.
Any other events that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, really enjoy, love the South County to live in, here in Napoma particularly, in Arroyo Grande, and growing up here a lot, serving on the newspaper here that we had, our family had for 39 years. Really got close to people here in town, and I know a lot of people that have done a lot for the community, like Howard Mankins, who just passed away. He's a good leader and a good example of people who give to the community and set a good example for everybody up here.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you, Mr. Blankenberg. And let's give one more round of applause. Yeah! Yeah! See you next time on Historical Talks with yours truly, Dirk Justice Lorente Blankenberg.